Nine, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, what was it I needed?
I just gave you a different one till I fix this one.
Oh, okay.
See, she knows how to fix it.
Yeah.
I'll fix it.
No getting out of work for you today. All right, first on the agenda is approve the minutes of December 4th as written.
So moved. I'll second.
Moved by Meach, second by McCurry. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
You will abstain. You will abstain. Next is miscellaneous motions. Move to authorize Director Chairman to sign 2 tax abatement in the amount of $39.52.
I'll move.
I'll second that.
Moved by McCurry, seconded by Thompson. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Upon the recommendation of the county clerk, move to authorize Director Chairman to sign the year 2023 cereal malt beverage license to Conoco Travel Center. Where'd it go? Travel Center / Cedar Valley Investments, doing business as Fuel Expresso 11, located at 2754 US Highway 75 Northwest, Depot, Kansas 66856. I'll move.
Second.
Clerk.
Moved by Knight, seconded by Hughden. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. On the recommendation of county clerk, move to authorize Director Chairman to sign year 2023 cereal malt beverage license to Travel Centers of America, located at 2775 US Highway 75, Lebo, Kansas 66856.
I'll move.
Moved by McCurry. I'll second. Seconded by Knight. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Leave that ends our miscellaneous motions. We had a little change on the agenda for Walker Trimble. Loan extension. You're up, sir. For you and Lee. Slide these around. So I provided the Wade a extension that we have from the bank for SSN that the county had signed for on that line of credit. We originally did it for 60 days, and then it matured. So what I provided Wade was an extension agreement to add another 60 days to it. Talking to Bart, I think that that'll get us to where we need to be, hopefully. Everything sounds good. On their financing side, just wait on the USDA. We wanted to do the simultaneous closing with all that, but I think maybe this week we'll have a discussion about maybe moving our side a little bit quicker to try and get them going, but we'll have to see, make sure it's not going to affect any of the USDA side first. Okay. So what I would need is, if that looks good to everybody, Jesse just to sign it, and then I can get it extended here for another 60 days. I talked to Bart about paying the interest due at extension, and he was good with everything. So they got to pay it up upon this extension. Correct. Yeah. Correct. And then the next 60 days starts a new interest run. That's correct. That's correct. And it was for $300,000. They've still got some room left on there. And Bart and I have talked about what they have left. Okay.
And for those in YouTube world where they're watching and maybe wondering what the specifics are, the balance, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, was originally due on November 10th or 18th? 18th, 2023, and the extension is to February 15th, 2024.
Correct.
Right?
That's correct.
So that's really the extent of your request.
Yes. Yes.
And this relates to the SSM airport property project.
My request would be to keep this line of credit open for another 60 days to allow them to use what's remaining balance on the line.
And that 12,244 is the interest that's.
It's 2,000. Yeah, sorry. I had
Yeah,
terrible
okay.
handwriting.
Looks like. Okay,
Yeah,
2,000.
terrible handwriting. Penmanship's terrible.
You haven't seen mine.
He's gonna want to go with that.
Yeah, I
We'll
know.
have a contest for me anyhow.
But that's what's been incurred so far, and that'll be paid, and then the extension will.
Correct, yes.
Thank you.
That's correct.
And the county isn't being asked to pay or contribute anything, that's I'm just making sure so people
Okay,
understand.
then, okay, the
Absolutely. Yeah,
extension.
I'm not asking for any money from the county, this is
Right.
from SSO's pocket.
That's really no problem.
So the wording would be something to the effect, motion to approve the extension agreement presented by Citizens State Bank in reference to the SSM airport property project. Originally, are you keeping up? Because I'm not watching.
I already have it typed there.
Oh, good.
I mean, I've typed
That's
what you
something
said.
typed anyhow, right?
Sure was keeping up.
Why was it?
Moving right along. Faster than I would have typed, I guarantee you that.
You'd still be up on approved.
Yeah.
Oh, right there at the top.
Yep, I think that's.
Do we need a dollar amount or anything or no?
It would be a remaining balance of 190,000, right?
110, 190 is what the,
Oh, 110,000.
yeah. Or if it makes it easier, use a long number or whatever, it's not changing.
At 110,000?
Some change.
Tell me what it is, I'll.
It'll be,
This says 190.
That's 190, 192.
Yes.
Minus 190.82.
Okay. 109?
109, 980, 18.
Okay. That's the remaining balance?
That's the credit they have left, yeah. The principal amount that they owe is 190, 1982.
So if I put with the remaining balance of 109,
109 or 190?
109 is what's available, 190 is what they've used.
So they had a $300,000.
Yeah, $300,000.
Correct.
So that's the balance of the 300,000.
Gotcha.
So they got like a 109,
Okay.
82, 18, I think is what's left.
Okay, motion reads, move to approve the extension agreement presented by Citizens State Bank in reference to the SSM Airport project, originally due November 10, 2023, now be due February 15, 2024, with the remaining balance of 109,980.18. I'll move.
I'll second that.
Moved by Knight, seconded by McCurry. Any discussion? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Maybe sign those two spots. Right side.
Right side?
Yes.
You want these back? Okay, straight.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Walker.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Take care.
Give you two, thank you.
Good. No problem.
Slip a piece of paper in on the Passover. It was on the very bottom. I don't know whose piece of paper.
Oh, that's fine.
Is that yours?
Yep.
All right. Mr. Tim Johnson, Coffee County lobbyist.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Tim.
I'm gonna try to hold this to short and sweet. I have to go to Topeka, so, as you know, sometimes that's hard for me. Last year, state legislators
Oh,
made laws,
which one?
of 98 of them. It was a very busy year. I spoke on the phone many a times in person to legislators, U.S. legislators, county commissioners, made a lot of calls. And miles are driven was 4,250 miles.
A few miles on the old vehicle, didn't you?
Yes, yes. So, and I'll tell you what, it was a learning experience for me, and I really enjoyed it. I think we did some good for the county. With that in mind, the reason I'm here, I'd like to reapply for my job for 2024. On the note, I did hand out, or you should have my lobbyist list where I went in 2023.
You've been lighting the highways up, Tim, that's for sure.
I've been trying my hardest.
The highways and the cellways.
Yes, I'm glad it's not by the minutes anymore.
Well, I know I get a call from Tim probably, I don't know, once every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, wants to speak for about 10, 15 minutes, and in all due respect, it normally lasts 25 or 30,
I apologize.
or, no need to. It's one, you know, one discussion leads into another, one leads into another one, and that's just the way things go, so.
Yeah.
I know I really appreciate, Tim, what you've done for Coffee County during your first year of employment. Maybe not quoted quite right, but during your first year. So, really appreciate what you've done for our county, and I know that will definitely improve on down the road.
That's what I plan on.
I, on the other hand, I'm going to oppose the renewal. And Tim and I spoke earlier, and it's 18,000 a year, and I just don't see the value. I don't see the value when we have, we're part of the Kansas County Commissioners Association. They've got a lobbyist. The county, Kansas Association of Counties have a lobbyist. I think we belong to both of those, and I assume that we have to pay to belong. It's nothing against Tim, it's just, I have a problem with that position. I just think it's 18,000 that, I just don't see the value in it, and I guess that's my stand. And my vote's going to be no when it comes down to that. And Tim and I had a discussion earlier, and he said, well, did I do anything wrong? And no, he hasn't done anything wrong. I truly think that that Tim is working his butt off. I just don't agree with that position. That's where I stand.
How many years have we had a lobbyist?
Forever.
Been a long time.
And $13,000 a year, and apparently the value wasn't there. And I guess that's, I just see that we have that service from our other entities, and whether they do that much good or not, we still have that personnel with those organizations. And that being said, that's where I stand. And I'll quit talking.
And I'm always with you on saving money, Steve. I guess when this opportunity came about, to have Tim do this, at that point, I was looking at it a comparison deal of what we were spending, and in my opinion, of what it, and I'm not saying I followed it or anything, but what money we were spending, I didn't think we were getting anything. And I felt that with all the things going on with the CHIPS project and everything, that if Tim could do us this bit of good, that it would be cheap money spent. That's how I arrived at my decision.
Sure. And I understand, and I realize that I'm probably in the minority, but that's
what you're on there for, is to voice your opinion.
and that's my opinion
exactly
right
right.
now. And so that's
Absolutely.
I'll leave it at that.
No, that's great.
Well, I believe the reason we went with Tim is because our previous lobbyist, if you will, was representing other entities as well, not just Coffee County, and Tim's focus is Coffee County.
Right.
So that's why we went that direction.
That's more what I was trying to say.
With that in mind, I'd like to address this. It'll be that way for the 2024 year too. I've been reached out to. I'm Coffee County's lobbyist.
Who was the lobbyist that we had? I can't think of the man's name, Angie.
Whitney Dameron.
Now, if we didn't go with Tim, would we jump back and go with him?
Wouldn't
See,
have to
that's
have
what I'm
it.
thinking.
I don't think you have to have a lobbyist.
That's what, I can understand fully, but, when I was at the co-op, it's like you was at the grain and fertilizers, we dealt with lobbyists all the time.
Sure we did. Sure we did.
There's no question.
I mean, you could reach out to them and express a concern, and they would
respond.
They would respond.
Yeah.
And in a year from now, I may change my mind, but anyway, it's not set in stone. That's just the way I feel right now.
Alright.
Well, I feel that Tim has done an outstanding job with trying to bring back feedback, what the government's shoving down local businesses, small businesses' throats that they have no clue about, and trying to secure small businesses out of harm's way of KDHE and everything else. I think he's done an outstanding job.
Mr. Chairman, I'm gonna go ahead and move that we renew the contract with Mr. Tim Johnson being our lobbyist at $1,500 a month.
It's been moved by Meeks,
Second that.
seconded by Thompson. Any further discussion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
4 yes, 1 no.
Well, thank you.
Thank
I
you,
appreciate it. Now I'll work harder in 2024, guys.
Doing fine.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the updates we give you.
Thank you.
You got my number.
Thank you.
Tim?
Thank you,
You
Steve.
bet. I need to sign this.
Yes.
Thank you, Wade.
Do you want to sign this? And I'll get a
I
copy.
better.
Do you want an original?
Yes.
Okay, we'll just sign 2 of them then.
Oh, I thought you had it in your hand, Tim.
Sign that,
And we
and
should-
two.
I'm good.
Thank you very much.
Quick last words.
Keep battling, keep battling.
I am. I'm gonna head to Topeka. Guys, thank you.
I feel bad for you, Wade. That's tough.
All right. Next, I believe, is Road Bridge Superintendent Ryan Durst. You're up, sir.
Morning, everybody.
I think I seen you going northbound, didn't I? No?
Not this morning.
I was thinking, man, how's he gonna make it to the meeting?
No. He lost his map. That wasn't me. No call outs this weekend, no road permits. Just have one motion for today, and that's just to get those contracts signed for the lean-to, bid that we had here 3 weeks ago or so.
Motion to authorize direct chairman to sign contract documents with Evergreen Build Design LLC for county shop truck barn lean-to, project number HD 21-01.
Also move.
Moved by Meats,
I'll second.
seconded by McCurry. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Alright, thank you. Last week, we had a pickup that, run into a deer, the deer run into the pickup. They totaled it out, insurance totaled it out, so we're just waiting on getting some numbers back from them. More than likely, we'll probably wind up buying it back and fixing it, and keeping it.
How many miles on it?
The truck's got around 200,000, but it's had a motor replaced, fairly recently.
It's worth
Yeah,
fixing.
no, it's worth fixing.
What year
Basic.
is it, Brian?
It's a 2008 Ford half-ton.
Okay.
It's two-wheel drive. So, just from what I've seen, it looks like it's gonna take a radiator, condenser, and a grill. I don't know if we're gonna have to do a hood or anything. I think we can fix what's there.
Yeah.
Make it work, so it'll be cheap. So we'll see what they come back with on the buyback and whatnot,
Yeah.
and go from there. Old 50 project update, bid openings will be this Wednesday, so we should have an idea late Wednesday on what those numbers look like.
I'm curious, I've seen some stuff come through from contractors, and there's no Highway 50 on them. I don't know if it's different, and I'm assuming it's the same state lane.
I would think so.
But, I know APAC didn't have anything on theirs. So,
Yeah, I don't,
and maybe that was the Hutch Highway Division, Heavy Highway Division, and maybe Emporia's looking at it, and it wouldn't come through them, but I think they
Okay.
probably would, I don't know.
yeah.
I hope it goes out for bid this week.
Yeah, no, we've been in contact, and
Okay.
it's posted on the state site, I know, I looked this morning, so.
Is that from 75,
75 to Lebo.
Yeah.
So what is what's the bid for? What are they gonna do?
So that would be for the widening, on the shoulders. So basically, they'll go in and redo the shoulders. If you want some details, I mean, I can go over what the details of the project being bid. So they'll be excavating down, and then when they're coming back on the shoulders, putting in like 6 inches of AB3, and then they will do 6 inches of asphalt, and then there'll be, I believe it's called a petromat that they put basically over the new shoulder and the edge of the road. I think it's 4 foot wide, and then there'll be a 2-inch overlay over everything, so the
Okay.
shoulder,
I'm just curious,
Yeah.
you know, what the project
Yep.
was.
widening, so.
We have the match money already set aside on that?
Yeah, we've had it.
Okay.
We've had it. So the one thing with that, the 2-inch overlay is, that's kind of maintenance, considered as maintenance. So that's a portion that the county's paying for, but they went ahead, they wanted to include that in the project, so it would happen when the construction of the shoulders go on. So that's, we're estimating about 1.2 for that, and then our match of the total project's probably gonna be around 250,000. Total project cost around 3.5 or something is what we're estimating, so.
So will that first mile from 75 west, will that be
That-
included in that?
That mile was taken off, due,
To the,
yeah, 'cause we didn't wanna spend that money there and get that done, and then something takes place up there a year from now or whenever, would just destroy what, that would all change, due to the entry there on that ship stuff, so.
And it's sure needed, because there's any of the stuff over 80,000 pounds can't go on the interstate, so lots of
Right,
85 and 90,000 pound trucks
Sure.
use that road, and it's pretty narrow.
yeah.
It is.
It's pretty bad.
There at one time, if I remember right, we was considering putting the white lines, you know, on a 20-foot, indicate, you know, can't think how I want to say it. Keep most of the trucks off that outside 2 or 4 feet.
Right.
Is that the way the white lines are gonna be put out?
That would be my intentions. I think
I
that's,
mean, I don't know if the state will let you do that, where it's.
yeah, I mean,
You know,
that,
where this is a funded, state-funded deal, they might do that 6 miles.
I know we've talked about that, or I think we've talked, but what they'll let us do, I don't know.
Aren't a lot of
Yeah.
lanes 12 foot typically?
yeah.
It sure gives you more room if the road would hold up.
Sure.
That was my discussion from Fauna West. Bring the white lines back in.
Right, I
Use
remember
your
you
shoulders if you need them
Mhm.
to drive on, but bring it back in, because if you got that white line clear out there on the right, they're gonna drive over
That's
to
where
that
they're
all the
gonna
time,
drive.
you
Yeah.
know, so.
Right.
And that's not what that, it was to help widen the road, and we can have a shoulder on it and still have the
Yeah.
white lines where they originally were.
Right.
With the short, narrow road.
That'll
a
be a
safe
big
shoulder.
improvement, that'll be a big improvement for it.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
then everybody will get to Fauna and be like, oh my gosh, this road's horrible.
Used to be, whoo, now we can
Yeah.
make it.
Then you get to Lyon County, it goes back in.
So, I know Franklin County, they've got a similar project, from our county line at 50 going into Williamsburg. And it was gonna be a little more major than what we're doing, and they went through the process and got the, numbers back, and it was way more than they were gonna be milling out like 14 inches of roadway, entire width, and, so they're actually getting ready to rebid all that, and they're following kinda like what we're doing on 50. I think the only thing they're changing is they're gonna do a 3-inch overlay instead of a 2-inch over everything, but.
Yeah, there's a pretty big bridge over there in the valley before you get to Williamsburg,
Yeah.
but they're gonna have to, and they've cleared out quite a few trees over there
Yeah.
already.
Yep. So, yeah, I'll probably have some more information next Monday, on that project. Just an update on the Blackberry road use agreement, we're still working through some of that. I did get, some correspondence this weekend, so they've agreed to pay for some dust control in front of some residences. A couple things we're working through now is just reimbursement of some inspection costs. They've agreed to, pay us for our inspection, probably hiring, an inspector for part of the time on that project, somebody from the outside, so they're gonna reimburse that. Maintenance of the haul route, our roads we're gonna be doing, so they're gonna be reimbursing us for maintaining some of our roads. But hopefully that gets ironed out the next few weeks and get that details put in place, because I'm ready for it to be done and in place. Sure Wade is too. But, bridge up by Waverly, 6A, construction finished last week. So they're tearing out the old bridge. Have a little seating, some stuff like that to do up there, but that project's pretty much done.
That looks nice. You guys did a nice job.
Well, we didn't,
Well-
we didn't do it, but they did a nice job, yes.
They did a nice job, yeah.
Yeah. Parking lot, north parking lot, some discussion on maybe that curb and just bringing some awareness to it. I met with Jesse out there. We talked through a few things. So this is just an option. Picture on the back too. Really don't want to, if we're going to go with some sort of signage in there, I hate to drill into the concrete that's there, but we do have these rubber bases, weighted bases. Holds in Telspar, so then we can put whatever sign on there we want. You know, I think basically a red diamond, something like that. Doesn't even really say anything, I don't think.
Maybe not even need to be quite this.
Probably not that tall, yeah, that's what we had on hand to do in last Friday, just to get a picture.
So it's, you know.
Those are 8 foot tall, those are probably a little,
Little more eye level for the cars.
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I'm just my thought. I'm
Yeah,
not-
but really the base is the biggest thing I think probably we would try to use,
Yeah.
just to keep from anchoring anything in that concrete.
If you did wanna anchor something, you wouldn't wanna anchor in that curve itself,
Right.
you'd wanna anchor out there in
In the flat.
Right. Right, but if you guys are okay with those weighted bases, we only got one, but I'll probably order a few more, then we can decide on the sign height. When we get the bases in.
I think it'd be fine.
Would we need any past the center, should we, I mean, like on the ends, or what do you think?
Well, I think probably should use at least four across that middle curb.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do any I don't think we need them on the outside curb, because I think if we could extend the lanes, the in and out lanes, out to the street, that would kind of help funnel traffic in and out, and then put some of the no parking hash marks out there in between, the outside of the curb, so.
He said he had some arrows, and I don't remember what else, but he said you're welcome to.
Okay.
Just get up with him, and,
Okay, I'll get with Mark then.
yeah,
All right.
whatever you wanna do, he said was fine.
All right. That's my update I've got. If you guys got anything for me?
Any update on the north area? Road grading?
It's just as far as maintaining that section, yeah, we're on it. You know, we've got an operator that's off, I'm off, but we'll have at least one, if not two blades running around that area, so. My roads definitely fell apart after
They
that
did, didn't they?
snow and moisture. It's just,
Oh, yeah.
it's what happens. But we're getting them back in shape.
Everything's kinda packed down now, like in our neighborhood, obviously a bunch of chuck holes and washboards at the
Yeah.
intersections. Maybe if we get a little more moisture, you could get a chance that stuff might stay in place when you fill some
Yeah.
of those holes, you know?
Yep.
We'd have, wasn't much you could do then when it's all sewage.
No, right. Right, but that's just the nature of it, so we'll get them back in shape, so.
Yep, that's the time of year.
Had a couple calls late yesterday afternoon or last night on Reaper Road south to the county line. Whose responsibility is that? Is that Coffee or Woodson? I guess you go to the county line, then a mile east, or a mile west, correct me. A mile west is, Vern Yoho's travels that all the time.
Yeah, that's
He
Woodson
said
County
it was really
Road.
getting bad, but I didn't know, told Rose, his wife's the one that called. I didn't know whose responsibility it was.
That's Woodson County.
Okay, I'll get back in touch with them.
Yeah.
She said they called Woodson County to start with, but didn't get any results. I'll talk to them.
Okay, and I can pass it on. They got a fairly new road supervisor down there, so I can give him a call.
Okay, I'll talk to them and
Let
tell
him
them.
know.
Okay.
How'd you guys attack the snow? How was the snowstorm? We haven't talked to you since the snowstorm.
It wasn't bad, so we went out, see, it would've been that Saturday, late. I mean, that snow kinda come in later, up around Lebo, we had a little snow in the afternoon. Down here, they didn't have any till, I think, early evening. But, so we were out Saturday evening, treated around Lebo, and just kinda started down toward Burlington. And then we went out there Sunday morning, countywide and treated, and sun was out. I mean, it was kind of a short-lived event, but it definitely wound up with a little more snow than we were anticipating out of that. So I think we had 8 inches up around Lebo.
Yeah, 6 to 8.
Yeah. But,
It was perfect snow. Wind didn't blow 40 mile an hour.
yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
We all forget what 7 inches of snow in the road is like with the 40 mile an hour wind.
Oh, I've seen 2 or 3 inches of snow with a 40 mile an hour, and
Yeah.
it'd be a mess. so.
Eight, so you get a couple of days.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so, very well.
All right, well, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, thanks on that bridge. That is a smooth bridge, other than the fancy stuff in the middle of the bridge.
In the middle
but
bridge.
you can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
So
I actually haven't even been down it yet, but I've had a lot of people contacting me.
two
They-
thumbs
They
up.
appreciated it.
Oh
so.
my gosh. Yeah.
It's always good to have those calls. isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, no, you appreciate those calls for sure.
If
So,
you never went over it prior to it being fixed, you're not gonna appreciate the fix.
yeah.
So going eastbound, I think your back end comes completely off the ground.
Where's that one?
The Audubon.
Audubon in between, well, just east of Jimmy Webster's old place.
Yeah, okay, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not good.
Not good, yeah.
And it's better now, so.
Yep, yep.
All right.
Thanks, Ryan.
You guys have a good week.
Yeah, it's kind of like a launch pad.
That was, yeah, horrible.
75 got a spot there south of London, 7, 8 miles, when they fixed the north edge of that bridge, that's a launch.
Yeah.
You know, they came in and took the tip out, and then they put a 4-inch launch pad in, and they still haven't done anything for the south. I can't understand,
Oh, that
I
thing's
can't
rough.
understand how the state cannot fix something like that.
12-year-old with a toy tractor can do a great job sometimes.
I seen one on Facebook, it showed back in the day, how they was building roads out of stones and this and that and the other, and lasted for centuries, and they showed a road existing today with a bunch of potholes, and it said, then an engineer showed up.
Then an engineer.
I can imagine how these brick streets, I mean, some of them get kind of rough, but how do they hold up so well? There's just sand in them, isn't there?
Yeah.
Around the bricks. I don't know how they stay, you know, for years.
For years and years.
Decades. Yeah. Modern, well, you know, they had that down at Toronto Lake, no, not Toronto, Lake Pagan, they call it, I think is what it is.
One of them's fake.
Wilson County Lake,
Yeah.
Pagan, whatever, but anyway, they had that emergency overflow, and they had all those large native stones in there, and that was one of them lakes that was built back in the day, I forget what they called them, where they
Oh, I know what you mean, the
keep people working, keep them busy, stimulate.
welfare camp deal,
Yeah.
basically. What
Anyway,
were
they had
called?
large stones in the emergency overflow, and it worked for decades upon decades, and then they would get to start doing projects around the lake, like picnic table areas and this and that. They take the leftover concrete and they pour it between those stones. That was a very good idea, because when the next big rain come in, after they trapped all that water from exiting out those stones, it picked up all those stones and shoved them down the creek.
Basically, so that it couldn't get on out after the
Right.
overflow.
Yeah.
Wow, just kept it soaking right there.
Well, it just plugged it off.
Yeah.
So when that water come up underneath it, it just shoved it all down the creek. One fell swoop.
An attempt to do good. Not so good.
Well, that is the end of our agenda today, but I know it's not the end of our meeting. Mr. Skipper walked in. Got anything for us this morning?
Just a quick request or question, really. I've spoken with the commissioners about possible upcoming loan request approval for a business, and part of the conversation turned into how the security, what security would the commissioners have if they made the loan. We've had that would require participation from another public body. There's been some conversation with that public body, the council, members of that council. And now that we have some consensus, I would like to next week, or this week, I would like to work with the county attorney to give him what he needs to recommend to the commissioners where you stand with that security I'm talking about, so you can consider making that loan next week. I'd like to put it on the agenda for next week.
Maybe just a clarification, the conversation was you had with this other body. I just want to make sure people don't think that this board had a meeting with just the wording, sort of.
It was a non-quorum meeting.
I can tell you, because I was going to bring it up during roundtable, that next week is, I think, pretty full, because we have, in the afternoon, there's a discussion, work session with Burns and McDonald, which may or may not take quite a while, and that's why it's at 1:30. We have Christina Dietrich, who will be here from HR Partners. We have the minimum maintenance roads public hearing. I don't know if that'll turn into anything, if people will show up for that. You never know. What else is on the agenda?
Hospital administrator will be here at 9:05.
Okay, so Jovin's coming in, because he hadn't spoken down here a week ago.
And I don't know how long that public hearing will take. At the most, 15, 20 minutes?
It depends on if somebody shows up.
So, I mean, we would be, depending, even if you said 10:30, we'd have 10:30 on available until 1:30.
If you put this at 11, that would give maybe the flexibility to have a discussion. There may be a gap, but during that gap, you could probably fill it in with something else.
Maybe a loan, probably?
Yes, ma'am.
Starting a loan?
Our title would be RLF loan discussion.
How long do you have for the HR partner discussion?
About 30 minutes,
Okay,
any longer.
good question.
Well, you'd have to stop at 10 for the hearing, and then you could continue.
Yeah,
She is gonna be present, isn't she?
correct.
It's surprised me if they could do that in 30 minutes.
Sorry? Yes, sir.
It's surprised me to be 30 minutes.
For HR partners?
Yeah.
Well, it depends on if you have questions.
Yeah.
Just got something else.
Hold, please.
While he's doing that, that was gonna be one of the items I was gonna bring up was for next week. HR partners will be here. Tomorrow, there's a department head meeting and at 2 o'clock, right?
Yes.
So to discuss a number of things, but I asked that the employee handbook be also added to see if there's any input or feedback last minute that needs to be addressed. And depending on what that feedback is, but I guess even if there's feedback, it's on the agenda for next week. And that proposed manual will be distributed with your packet on Friday, hopefully, so that you can look at it and review it over the weekend if you have any questions. And then next week we'll see what
You'd
happens.
email that, all that out though, hadn't you? Right.
Yes, I emailed the proposed manual. In fact, I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I don't get a response, so it's like, well, I wonder if it
Implied consent.
went somewhere, but maybe not to everybody. So,
Do we need a copy of the handbook to review it prior to the meeting?
you will get it at the end of the week to go out with your packet.
So I think we need the opportunity to review.
Yep.
I would have, without jumping around, I'll have one more request for next week's agenda. There'll be a hotel gentleman. There's a guy who wants to build a hotel in Coffee County. He's gonna have to work with the city, but he also is gonna have to interface with the commission. Next week, he just wants to introduce himself. He doesn't have to talk details or, that's the only other thing I have. He can show up at the end of the agenda, just to say hello.
Maybe just put it so it's on the agenda at 11:30, and then that way, if somebody wants to be here to hear that, they know when it'll be.
And what is that, Bobby, again? What do I put?
Bill Mashad, presentation to the commission.
Has he been here before?
No, sir.
How do you spell the last name?
Michud.
Sounds like I could do a full day next week, so.
Is there another meeting, after the 18th for the commission this year?
26th and the 28th, right?
Yeah, 26th, and then,
Or is it 29th?
well, 28th for checks and vouchers, and then 29th for year-end transfers, but that could, those 2 dates maybe could change, I don't know.
So it's just Monday off for Christmas?
Yeah.
Is that what it is? It's Monday?
So next Monday, and then the 26th, and then probably 28th and 29th.
Busy week that week.
Well, they're both usually, like the 29th, it's like a half a day.
Or just a couple hours.
Yeah. Right. 28th, we checks and vouchers. Probably the 26th.
Is that it, Bobby? Guess we're gonna go into round table.
You look at me like I can blow the whole thing up, it's not even 10.
I know. Well, I say we're gonna sit here and sign all this paperwork, and then you'll get busy and need to go somewhere.
On the agenda is January 29th at 1:30, which I know that's a ways away, but I had added a meeting with this board and the Housing Authority Board. I had a conversation with the attorney for the Housing Authority and brought some of the items for discussion up to the attorney, and I think between now and then, based on calendars and getting information together, and then I think that when the Housing Authority has their meeting, that's the best timeline available. And if you look at the month of January between now and then, they meet on Tuesdays.
Second Tuesday.
The second Tuesday, so the first, for the county, the first Monday in January is the...
Is it 29?
Calendar, do you have the calendar?
I got one on my phone.
There we go.
Their meeting will be the 9th of January.
The 8th is the first Monday for the county, and then the 15th is a holiday, and then the 22nd, and then the 29th, so I don't see that as to get all the information and have, I'll probably have a number of conversations with the attorney for the Housing Authority just to...
And that's going to be on the 29th, Wade?
The 29th at 1:30. So I just want to give you a heads up, and so that...
So the 28th is checks and vouchers, is that correct?
Yes.
The 29th is year-end
Yeah.
close.
The 28th, I'm probably not going to be able to be.
That's okay.
Will that be, all right.
No problem. Just miss all the Christmas presents and the cookies.
Oh, speaking of which, there's a red tin over there. It's got some chocolate treats in it.
I believe that came from Goldberg.
Over.
Looks like we need sweetened up.
Chocolate toffee.
Chocolate toffee.
That's
Wait,
fine.
Wayne and I tested it out last week.
So the 29th would be the closeout, and then at 1:30, then,
No.
and that's, it starts at 9, is that right?
On the 29th?
January 29th.
Oh, okay. I'm
January
sorry.
29th, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were asking about year-end transfers.
I was.
Okay.
Nothing.
December.
I was looking at the 29th as the closeout, and then a meeting with the housing.
housing, yeah.
That's the 29th of January.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sure, I think.
That one will fill up quick.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted you to be aware in case you didn't think that that was being looked into and evaluated, and I believe that the housing authority will be fully cooperative and work with the county to try to answer any questions that's outstanding.
Very good.
That'll put it almost a year to the day.
I've not heard anything from River City about mobilizing, and if you recall, they indicated they relayed to me at least a week in advance, so I don't know if they'll notify sometime during the week. If it is sometime during the week, then that timeline will kind of shorten. So for example, if it's tomorrow, then this board will be, I guess, notified for the first time on the 18th. But
Send out a mass email too.
correct. So
There's a lot more cars parked in the outskirts this morning.
Yeah, got a
They
good
were,
start
they
on
were
it.
parked in the
Yeah.
outskirts.
Yeah, good start. A lot of the county vehicles were parked down south here this morning.
So hopefully that will get up and running sooner rather than later, and the weather cooperates, which it's been pretty warm for December. I think outside of that, unless there's something that you need to know from me, I don't have anything else.
You don't have anything else? No TikTok, no setting the timers?
Seems disappointed.
Shut. We could be done by 10 o'clock.
Just out of the norm. We got a few stops yet here
Yeah,
around the
yeah.
table.
Well, Steve, do you have anything? If Wade doesn't have anything else?
I do not, I'm good.
Don?
I'm all right.
Wade?
Attended the KNRC meetings on Monday, very informative. Guess, I'll probably talk more about it later sometime.
They are pretty informational meetings,
Very much so.
kind of mind-numbing.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing, mind-numbing, however you want to look at it.
Right.
Thomas?
I do not.
Angie?
I have a couple. So every year you guys do the chamber bucks for our employees, they're $25. And I assume you want to do that again?
I don't remember doing it last year, but
Okay,
I know.
but I mean, you want to do it for employees,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, now my question is did you guys get them too? Or do you want them? I didn't.
I didn't get one, but
I don't
want one.
I don't remember.
Okay, so you guys probably haven't gotten them then.
No.
I just didn't know.
My knowledge, I
Okay.
haven't.
Okay, so I will get those to the chamber by Wednesday. I have a list of employees that each department's supposed to check to make sure we have everybody, so we don't forget anyone. And then I'll get the list to her, and I'll have the letter for you to sign next week probably.
Okay.
And then as far as handing those out, do you want, somebody want to come up here and deliver them to departments, or do you just want us to stick them in their boxes with the letter that says, thank you and Merry Christmas?
Did we do that?
I've never handed them out.
I think we just stuck them in their
I
boxes.
think we
I
just
think.
put them in a box, but I'm not gonna say.
I think we
Works
did.
for me.
I recall, but I don't.
I'm not very good, ho, ho, ho.
I'm more working on it.
Yeah, I know that. I'm more than Scrooge, so.
I do have something, and maybe it has to do with the email that, from the Chamber of Commerce. Did you,
Oh, yeah, I did get that.
but they're funded,
Did you get it, Wade?
Is that on the extra money they were?
Yeah.
yes.
They're funded by the bed tax.
Is that what they're funded by? So that varies from year to year, is that correct? I mean, it's not a consistent number.
Well, it all depends on your stays in the motels. And they've lost one of their major ones, because that's where the Dollar Tree, whatever
Okay,
store it is.
right.
So they lost that account, basically. And so it all stems off of your motel
But
stay.
that's all that we fund I mean, it's just funded through that hotel.
I think we give them like 12,000 a
Well,
year.
yeah.
Or is that the bed tax money?
That, I think, is the bed tax money, but I think what you're talking about, and I think we have it cleared up, there was an invoice that needed to be submitted to economic development, and I think they've got that cleared up, so.
Okay.
So they still got their funding.
as far
I
as
think
I
that
know.
was the concern, was that the funding, I didn't quite understand, because
I did not get that email, but I had a chance to, it looks like they want to get on the agenda. Their funding is in jeopardy for the chamber to remain operational if something doesn't change. It looks like they, from year to year, get $12,000 from economic development, and then the transient tax is something that
the transient tax, that's what fluctuates, isn't it? Okay.
so there's only one hotel in the county right now, right? The one up there?
Two.
Or two?
Two.
That's right. The one in Burlington and then the one,
Lebo left.
or at Vita, right?
One at Lebo left.
Yeah. So they're down, that's probably where they were generating a good portion of the income that went into the chamber. So the last part of the email mentions if they don't have money to stay operational, then they may have to consider a request to dissolve. So it's probably important that their board or somebody get on the agenda to come in and update the board on where they are financially, and then what options are available, because at least at this point, it sounds like if something doesn't change, they may have to dissolve. Is that the impression?
That was the impression, and I'd had a visit with a couple of the members that they were concerned about the funding, and I said, look, if there's this concern there, then you need to get together and get on the agenda and come in and talk to the commission as a whole. I had no idea. They just needed to come in and talk to the commission as a whole if there's a concern.
Yeah, so we can discuss it.
Right, right. And so and then the email came, and that's what it is on the funding.
So should I call down and ask them to meet with you? Is that what you want me to do?
I think based on what that email said, somebody, and it doesn't have to be their entire board, but somebody who has the information that can come and present to this board about what the issues are and what the suggestion is, if anything.
Because
you know.
a big portion of their funding comes from membership. Is that not right? I mean, if I remember right.
I would think you'd have to pay to be a member of the.
Yeah. Anyway, that's, I forgot about that until, for what it's worth, that's.
What else did you have, Andrew?
I guess that's all right now.
That was it?
I have one thing pop in.
Back away.
Yeah. I went to the the KAC conference for a day last week for the county council side of it, and one of the items of discussion dealt with codes and code enforcement and so on and so forth. I know that's something that's been discussed and toyed with multiple times here. One avenue, this is just a plan to see, and I need to get more information about it, but 4 or 5 counties in the state have code enforcement courts, and they are their core function is to deal with the type of issues that I believe would be of the utmost importance to this board regarding nuisance property. And why a code enforcement court is something to at least think about is it does not have the criminal penalties or consequences like jail time. It's a fine-based court. And you get the people in, you have somebody who you have to work with your chief judge of the district, and they would have to assign a judge to hear the cases, and then it would basically be the same thing as any other type of court, except for it's fine based on if you, and I'll switch gears and go to zoning, for example. If somebody is in violation of zoning per county resolution, the penalty for being in violation of county zoning can be punishable by jail time and a fine. And it sort of goes through the similar process, but you would file those cases within the district court. This is not in the district court, it's a code-based court, so it has my best analogy would be to have a night court where somebody sits and they hear code cases, and then you have a code officer to go through, and the penalty is different. I know that's part of what the concern has been with some people is to not have the jail time component of it and put people in jail for violating codes. Ultimately, if somebody, I guess, doesn't follow a court order, then there's always the power of contempt, which is jailable, but that's a whole different procedural process. So I'm going to collect a little more information to present it to you, so you have a little more information about a code court, but it is something that's occurring or going on in at least 4 or 5 other counties. Now the trick with it is it has to be presented to the legislature, and the legislature has to add your county to the counties that can operate code courts.
2 things I'd piggyback on that, and not be cautious. I'm not throwing anybody under a bus or not insinuating anything, but I do know if a special use permit is given, when there's stipulations that go along with it or something, there's really no, I don't know how to word it, I'm going to lose my wording. When a special use permit is applied for and it gets approved and it comes with stipulations like a fence being so tall or within a year and this, that, and the other, there's really no follow-up on any of that. 2 would be and I get this more often than I care to, you've got some contractors, if you will, that are not really skilled contractors, and so with that part of the code services, you're protecting the homeowner, and some of it's just as simple as a license, showing proof of workman's comp, general liability. Maybe some bonding back to the county in case, because I witnessed it where out on Hughes Tonic Road, there was a guy fixing this people's driveway, he had smashed their dirt, and they just took it across the road, just dumped it in the ditch. But the county just got done reworking that ditch like 3 weeks before that. So now, this ditch no longer drains, because there's 3 buckets of rock in there. You know, I mean, it's just, so that's where the bonding goes back payable to the county, that if you screw up and you mess something, and you don't fix it, then you can draw on their bond and go fix it, and say, this is how much it costs, call the bonding company, and say, it costs us $1,000 to fix this, and they pay you $1,000, and then they go hit the contractor up for $1,000. I mean, it's just protect the county, the city, the homeowner, all persons involved. And then I get calls sometimes, you know, I had so-and-so do this project for me, and now it's falling apart, it's only been a year, what do I do? I said, well, you call the guy that did it. Don't put me in the middle, I'm not a lawyer. I mean, it's happened to me, I don't know how many times. A lot.
Yeah.
I always tell people, if I've got an unhappy customer, they didn't tell me.
It's hard to fix something if you don't know it.
That is true.
Anything else? Wade?
Nope, just wanted to plant that seed.
Be prepared, is what you're saying.
I don't know about being prepared, if it's something you're interested in knowing more about.
Well, then I've attended some of those meetings and with discussions just like what you attended, and since I've got here, that's kind of what I've been trying to push for, is some sort of code services. Maybe enforcement's the wrong word, but some sort of code services for blighted property. But then you get some people saying, well, you can't tell people how to live. No, but when it affects your neighbor's health or your neighbor's value of their property, to that effect is when a person ought to be going, no, let's not be doing this.
This would be counties and not cities. This would be the county and not the cities.
My thought of it is, and we've even had discussion, it's been before, on the last, economic development director was at the helm then, and, I sat in on several meetings with several cities, and the question was asked, if county did employ a code services person, would you be willing to enter into an interlocal agreement, if you will, and chip in to help pay this person's salary? And I know the city of Burlington at that time said yes. I think Leroy was on board. I can't remember all.
I guess that's where I was.
But it seemed like everybody was on board, because I don't, you know, just the city of Burlington can't afford to have a full-time code services person, because there's probably not that much going on. But if you made it countywide, where they could, and had agreements with each of the cities to where they could do services there as well. You know, what that would look like paperwork-wise, I don't know. I mean, you know, if they get a building permit in the city of Burlington, then I assume the city of Burlington would have to get a hold of that code service person and say, here's a building permit, here's their contractors, because I know the city of Burlington, I don't know about Leroy or Waverly, anything like that, but plumbers and electricians all have to be licensed and bond payable back to the city of Burlington in the amount of $5,000. But anybody's got a pickup truck can build you a house. That's the part I never understood. And there's getting to be quite a few of them.
Definitely something that's been working on for the last 3 years, at least 3 years.
Again, when I was my first year, it was one of the first things I started on. I still have the copy of the property maintenance code I come up with, and that's been 3 years ago. No, you can't really tell a person how to live. But again, when it started to affect maybe your neighbor's health,
Public safety.
whether it's there's, you know, and not to mention the value of your neighbor's property. I mean, 'cause nobody's gonna pay, if it's a $300,000 home and you got
Tent City.
Tent City sitting up next door, nobody's gonna pay you $300,000
Right,
for it.
right.
They're just not gonna do it.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. You know, only thing that sometimes ends up working the other way is that somebody moves to the country and there's a dairy across the road from them, and they move there, and then they live there for a year and start complaining that there's a dairy across the road from them.
No, you can't do that.
I mean, people try to.
Yeah.
I guarantee you they do.
They do.
And that's the only other flip side of that coin, but I agree with what you're saying.
And I know what
Try
you're
to
saying.
protect the builders, you know, or
Yeah.
the citizens from shady builders and et
Yeah.
cetera.
When you got, like the grain elevator here in town, I mean, I've seen people have properties there, and it's like, good grief, well,
It was there.
it was already there, it's been there for.
It was there longer than
Decades.
anybody's old.
Been there for a long time.
That's my point.
I agree with you on that one.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's not what I'm looking at. It's-
No, but we just have to be careful what you implement.
Well,
So
again,
it doesn't, you know.
And that's why I say code enforcement would be a strong terminology. I think you'd want a person with kid gloves, I mean, you're not gonna go in there and just start arresting people and, you know.
Oh, exactly. I understand.
It's not like that, that's not what I'm meaning. It's just,
Right.
like what you said, it comes with fines, not
Yeah.
jail time, just.
Well, and a
Give them
chance,
so long
and a chance to cooperate with them.
You've got a housing authority sitting here, that's just what they're here for. We waive landfill fees all the time, so, you know, there's plenty of help in this community
Yeah.
to get it remedied, so.
Yeah. Your health department, the health department by statute has the ability to, if there's a complaint that goes to the health department, deal with public safety type issues with, properties. Sanitation and whatnot. So, right, and that's a mechanism, but that is a criminal, it has to be filed in the district court as a criminal consequence. It can be, but it's a criminal consequence under the, I guess it would be filed in district court, it's punishable by jail time and a fine. I'm not sure anybody would be put in jail for it, but it is a mechanism, and then you would have your, whoever it is from the health department, who is a subject matter expert in that arena, they would be the one who would have to come in, go out, investigate, because they're exercising health-related responsibilities. It's not, you know, you can't have law enforcement go out and investigate something like that because they don't have that subject matter expertise. So if you have something that's a danger to others, it's infested with rodents or whatever it might be that causes a local health issue, then that's what the health person would come in and testify, but they would prepare a written report. Somebody would have to present a complaint, and then it would go down that route. But they would end up being summoned to court and have to answer, and then I would like to think somebody could address those issues or ask for help, and then it could be taken care of that way. And that's how you deal with that side of it, but that doesn't deal with the type of issues Tom's talking about, where you have contractors who are coming in and taking advantage of people who don't know any better. I mean, you can put a sticker on your door of your car and say you're a professional in whatever arena, and you may not be, and all you have to do, I mean, there's plenty of those scams out there. Some of these storm chasing roofing companies show up.
Well, the state got a hold of that when they said you have to be licensed with the state now, which is great, but I don't know if you've noticed that most roofers nowadays that are licensed are just brokers.
So they get a subcon.
Yeah, they're the one holding the license.
safe.
There's ways around everything, isn't there?
Yeah.
Ways around everything.
The Consumer Protection Division of the Attorney General's office, they are an asset to those who are consumers and are being preyed upon, which happens all the time. And they will prosecute and they will go after entities, whether they're in the state or out of the state, as long as they are aware of what's going on and have the ability to investigate and then enforce the consumer protection laws. And they have a whole division of people that are assigned just for that purpose.
It's you could talk all day on it.
Oh.
So my question, Wade, on this little deal that just got on personal side, is there any signatures online? I guess that'd be a question for Andy. Is there any of my signatures online or on the website?
When you say personal deal, where you have
Yeah. A fraud deal?
oh,
And as I sign checks here as well.
yeah, I don't think the only places where I would know your signature is would be on as a signature for the bank. But I don't know of anywhere else. I don't think there's anywhere that I'm aware of where your signature is online.
Somebody could have pulled something off the newspaper then too, I guess, if there was any publication of any documents that I signed on the paper. Just trying to figure out what this individual's got my signature at.
When you, yeah.
Because it is a spot on signature.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I was just gonna bring it up because the county needs to be watching for my signature to make sure that it is a check that was wrote to people, to an individual or to whoever. Just as much as I need to be watching my own stuff.
yeah, I mean, I think maybe this is a good time for a public service announcement. There are a number of instances where people's somehow, and people are attempting to fraudulently cash homemade checks to obtain, I don't know, depends on what you look at, there's large sums of cash, but several $1,000s worth of cash at different banks across this state and others. So I would encourage those who watch on YouTube or really anywhere else to check your personal accounts and to check your business accounts to make sure that all checks that are written were actually written by you or approved by you, and if not, report them to your bank as fraud and report to your local law enforcement that they're fraud. And it's not a local issue, just a local issue, it's a statewide and probably even a national issue, especially this time of year. And I think Jesse brings up a good point because he's had something happen to him here recently where you were doing your due diligence and discovered that you had been victimized and didn't even know it until you were looking at numbers, is my understanding. So,
Yeah, they wrote 7 checks, five or 7 checks, I can't remember, and cashed them in Kansas City at an ATM, but they went into an account from that ATM, and so, but it was a check by our company. I mean, it was our name on the check, but it wasn't our check. And so there was a difference there, but the freaking signature was spot on. My signature
On your
was spot
business, on your business.
Yeah. And I mean, I was like, no, I think that's my signature, but I don't know this individual, you know, and then we looked at the checks, and it wasn't even the proper checks, you know, so.
Had your account number.
Yeah, it had the account number and everything on it, so I don't know, it's,
You do online banking?
I don't, but, yeah, they do.
We had we don't really know if it involved us, but a similar deal that looked very apparent that somehow it was our information. 2 of our customers that we haul for wrote us checks, and then other checks were created, that on their accounts, but it looked like they used the information off of the checks that were wrote to us, because the check numbers were like 5 or 10 off. The checks they created were made, and the signature, one of these people, it's rare for this individual to write checks at their business, and this person signed that check. The wife signed this check, and they used her signature, so it looked like it was copied out of our account at a different bank somehow off our, like they looked through our deposit slips or something,
Right.
you know, or through our deposit.
Got your mail or something and opened it and
Yeah,
put it back in.
that's what it appeared like, was that they had snagged a couple checks of ours
Yeah.
and took a picture of it. And these checks looked very similar. I mean, you really looked, you could see some difference in the check, but they looked like their checks. And, you know, it didn't have our names on it. I mean, they wrote it to some homeless guy and took him to a bank and
Right.
tried to get him to cash it. And one of them got caught then, and some of them did not. Pretty intricate deal to write fraudulent checks. I mean, a lot involved.
So anyway, I guess keep an eye out on the county level as well.
Yeah.
Suggested from our bank that you look at your accounts every morning, your checking account, and look at your checks that are posted, because you only got like 24 hours to dispute that check. And so if you don't dispute it in time, then the money gets sent.
It's gone.
It's food for the thought, it's happening. It can happen to you. I didn't think it could happen to me, and it happened to me, so.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, were you able to rectify the thing? I mean, were you able to,
It's in process now, yeah.
I was just curious.
Yeah. The banks are horrible to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do nothing with them. I mean, you gotta get a subpoena to do anything, so.
So do all these checks go to the same place?
They was in the same bank system, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, but they went to ATMs, they was at ATMs around, and they were routed into an account number, so they ought to be able to find who's at the end of that account number.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you would think.
I'd like to find them, I really would.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be there'd be some routing there, I can assure you that.
That wouldn't be good.
Well, it'd be good for a while.
Yeah.
Make it feel better.
Road bridge.
Yeah, I just,
That's at the top.
sitting on this banker, or the other bank, a friend of mine, they just said, because those checks came back in, we put them back in and we deposited them the same day, and there's an incredible similarity here between these checks that were written to you and these fraudulent checks, you know? So, and we just could not figure out, like you said, other than getting them out of our mailbox, we couldn't figure out how anybody would have had access to that. It's pretty disturbing at the time.
What's going on today, what do we think about what's gonna happen 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Criminals find a way.
Yup.
What's disturbing about that to me is it seems like a lot of them will work hard enough at stealing something that they could have had a job somewhere and made more money. But,
And been honorable about it.
yeah, my favorite one's the ones that go in and do, you know, $50,000 worth of damage, ripping a bunch of copper out of some power board, you know, and then and they got $300 worth of copper out of it. And
Yeah.
worked all night doing it. You know.
Pretty good signature. Like to cut their hands off and stuff in their mouth. That's what I'd like to do.
We were talking about cats before. You guys pass that around.
Oh,
Dave Strotter's camera took that down here at the river south of Burlington.
that's a big,
His little campground down there.
that's a big bobcat.
There's definitely a few of them around.
Looks healthy.
Yeah. And doing well.
Yeah, he's doing well.
That's just a bobcat, I know the mountain lion first.
Yeah, yeah, but
There's a few of the big ones around too.
he's pretty good size
Where's that?
down there at Dave's campground down there by the river.
We had Tom,
Good sized kitty cat.
Yeah.
going across the ice on a pond here 2 years
he's
ago.
Showed up on the camera the last couple of
He
years
was, I mean, he was huge.
several times.
Bobcat.
It was a bobcat. So we got some big ones around too.
And I think with deer, with turkey, I mean, they've got a food source.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
they're a huge food source.
Yeah.
He was too fast.
Got a friend up in northern Wisconsin. Likes to hunt deer, but he said the deer population dwindling was environmentalist when wolves introduced back into the wild in northern Wisconsin. They needed 200 or 300. Population is now 1,200. So one wolf will eat a deer a week.
Well,
Really?
According to the stats, anyway.
Yeah.
I got a friend that went out, I think it was western Texas, Oklahoma area, hunting. They said he's been out, went out hunting like 14 days or something like that, seen 3 does. That's all the does he had seen, and he said other hunters had been going around talking to ranchers, go out and do a hunt, and they said, well, you're more than welcome to hunt, but don't kill any does. Got a herd down, herd counts down, so.
Where was that, Jesse?
I think it was out in Texas.
I see. Well, they're sure not down here, don't seem like, from all of them we see laying alongside the road.
yeah, there's a bunch of them in there. Holy smoke.
Deer came back in this area more than what it was 3 years ago. Turkeys even has a good hatch out in our area.
Now,
that one that they had, there was a lot of, yeah.
I did never see it, but I seen some of the options of,
Is this all roof?
The whole thing, okay, is in the yellow.
I think that thing's eating paper in there instead of printing.
I know.
What are these contracts
That's stuff from Ryan.
for? Oh, okay.
The lean to.
Lean-to.
Kinda surprised there's no, conversation about the Chiefs.
Well, yeah, that's a lost
I'll
subject.
tell you what, that's totally unsolved. You got people making that kind of money and can't even get on the right side of the ball.
Yeah, this shows you stuff.
I still say they're distracted.
They are distracted.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, they got Jason State Farm, Taylor Swift,
Yeah.
what else, Subway,
Yep.
Progressive,
Pfizer.
Pfizer. What, but I know, he said Kelsey flew to Argentina or whatever to watch Taylor play in the bye week. It's like, they come back, ain't 1 cent, I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But he's catching the ball.
Yeah.
And he's
If he
snagging
gets
the ball.
if they get the ball to him.
Yep. Some of the others that.
Triple covered.
Man, they've had a lot of drops.
Yeah, there's, the whole thing kinda just, of course, every good thing comes to an end, we had a good run.
Yeah. They really just need a couple wideouts, one with good possession receiver, and then one that can take the top off that can catch it, kind of like Tyreek Hill.
Everybody take a lesson on where you line up on the ball.
Yeah, he had enough drop balls the first 4 games of the season. I'm surprised he even kept him around.
I'll bet you that lining up offsides happens umpteen times in a game, they just happen to throw a
Caught
flag.
that time.
Yeah.
But he was offsides, I mean, he was off,
Way ahead, yeah.
way ahead. And he wasn't even due to catch the ball, he wasn't even the intended receiver. The way that play ended up, he wasn't even a part of it.
That was a pretty play.
That was a pretty play. God, that was a pretty play.
Yeah, it was.
It was a touchdown play.
It was a touchdown play.
It only had one receiver was all in that play.
There, you feel better now, everybody talking about it.
You tried to share that, wasn't he? I've been a Detroit fan my entire life. I mean, it does get worse, guys. I lived through the 0-16 year, the NFL record, and
You stuck with them, through thick and thin, huh?
can you remember the last time Detroit went to a Super Bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many Super Bowls has Kansas City been to in the last 5 years?
Yeah, well, it took decades for them to get back from it. I mean, Joe Mahomes got there, Reed and all that, they didn't have much of a team.
Tickets were a lot cheaper back then too.
Yeah. I think for $25 they let you play.
You're probably right. You're probably right. They wouldn't want me to play for $25, I guarantee you that. Gosh, it's almost like Monday morning here, at the end of the month. Check
Yeah.
signing.
You got stacked, don't you?
This is sad. Now you got contract, book contracts.
Yeah. Wait, I'll need you to sign those contracts too, whenever he's done. Make sure you got everything.
What?
To help
No,
you.
I got everything. College bowl season starts next week.
Football every night.
Yeah. It's just there weren't too many exciting games in the beginning that I care to watch.
Okay.
Anything else? I feel guilty. It's happened before. We got out of it. We all lived through it, right?
And Jesse's even here as well.
That's why I said I feel kind of guilty.
You'll make up for it next week.
Yeah.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We push to the end of the year. If nobody has anything else, there's no other reason to keep wasting the tape. We'll adjourn at 10:37.